Hi, welcome to my piano lesson studio. My name is Marisa, and I'm going to help you learn how to play Beethoven's Fur-Elise on the piano. It is one of the most frequently requested classical piano pieces that I receive from students. Whether you are studying the piano on your own or currently taking with a teacher, I'm going to help you approach the sheet music, understand how to read it, how to analyze it, and then how to then go to the piano, find your proper finger placement, and successfully play this piece. We will begin by looking at the time signature, the two numbers listed next to the treble and bass clef symbols. The number on top, 3, means that there are 3 beats in each measure. A measure, again, is the area between bar lines, so from one bar line to the next. The group of notes and rests contained in between are a measure. So each measure should have 3 beats. The one exception you will see is the very first measure. It is called an incomplete measure because it does not contain 3 beats. In this case, it contains the equivalent of 1 beat. And oftentimes you will find the missing beats, so to speak, in the last measure of the section or the piece. So now looking at the bottom number of the time signature, there is an 8 underneath the 3. That means that an eighth note receives 1 beat. Here is an example of an eighth note with 1 flag. Okay, 1 flag. When there are when the notes are joined by a bar, by a single bar, they would have also been eighth notes. But in this case, there are 2 bars, so they are 16th notes. In fact, the majority of the notes on page 1 are 16th notes, which makes it easier in terms of how to be consistent with our counting and to attain a steady, even rhythm. So if an eighth note receives 1 beat, a 16th note will receive half of a beat because 2 16th notes make up 1 eighth note. It's like 2 halves of a whole. So our mode of counting will be 1 and 2 and 3 and. 3 main beats that are divided in half. So if you look at the first 2 16th notes together would make up 1 beat, the first half and the second half. Then the next 2 16th notes would make up the second beat of the measure. Again, the second beat is divided in half, the first half, second half. And then the last pair of 16ths represent the third beat of the measure. So we have, let's begin with the incomplete measure. This is the equivalent of 1 beat. And this represents the last beat of a measure. So we're coming in on beat 3. We have 3 and, 1 and, 2 and, 3 and, 1 and. So that represents the first phrase. One more time. 3 and, 1 and, 2 and, 3 and, 1 and. For those of you who are familiar with rhythm, and if you have a metronome or are able to play and count along, this is wonderful practice for attaining good, steady, even rhythm and good consistency to your tempo. So we will now continue on with the counting. We finished here on beat 1 and. This rest is the first half of beat 2. So it's 2, this note is and, 3 and, 1 and, rest 2 and, 3 and, 1 and, rest 2 and, 3 and. Okay, let's move down to the second line. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and rest 2 and 3 and 1 and rest 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and. And then that is the end of section 1, first ending. It takes us back to the beginning. We play through a second time. The second time we will skip over the measure of the first ending and go directly from here into the second ending and beyond. Okay, so we've just gone over how to count the rhythm. We're going to next look at fingering. The numbers above the notes, or in this case right here, below the notes, that represents fingering. So just a brief little recap of fingering. If we look at our hand, thumbs are always 1s, pinkies are always 5s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're beginning with our pinky or 5th finger. So it's 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 2, 4, 3, 1. Then our thumb moves down. Again, we're just looking at the top line, which is just the right hand. We're going to skip over left hand for now. So from finger 1 on A here, we rest and move finger 1 of right hand down to middle C. 1, 2, 4, 5, rest. 1, 2, 4, 5, rest. Then 1, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 2, 4, 3, 1, rest. 1, 2, 4, 5, rest. 1, 5, 4, 3. Again, that takes us to the first ending. Okay, lastly, let's go back and talk about notes, how to read the notes on the staff. So again, we're just looking right now at the treble clef. So that is the top staff here of the grand staff, and it represents the right hand. The very first note is a space note. It is in space 4, or the top space of the staff. So a staff has 4 spaces and 5 lines, and this is the 4th space. For those of you who remember from piano lessons, the way we remember treble clef spaces is the acronym FACE, F-A-C-E. So the top note, E, D sharp, E, D sharp, E, B as in boy, and then D natural, C, A. Then a rest. Middle C, E, A, B, rest. E, G sharp, B, C, rest. And then E, up an octave to higher E, D sharp, coming to the second line, E, D sharp, E, B, D natural, C, A, rest. Middle C, E, A, B, rest. E, C, B, A. Let's have some reference. Here is middle C. We begin 2 E's higher. Here would be the first E, and then an octave higher, the second E. So the notes are E, D sharp, E, D sharp, E, B, D, C, A, rest and move. C, E, A, B, rest. E, G sharp, B, C, rest. E, up an octave, E, D sharp, E, D sharp, E, B, D, C, A, rest. C, E, A, B, rest. E, C, B, A. Okay, next fingering. We begin on finger 5, pinky, 5, and then to 4, 5, 4, 5, 2, 4, 3, 1, rest. 1, 2, 4, 5, rest. 1, 2, 4, 5, rest. 1, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 2, 4, 3, 1, rest. 1, 2, rest, 1, 5, 4, 3. All right, third step, we're going to apply the counting to even out and improve our rhythm. So we begin again on the third beat of the measure. 3 and 1 and 2 and 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 3 and 1 and 2 and. All right, and then one final time, just enjoying the music. We're going to look at the note names of phrase 1. Our first note is a space note. Our second note is a space note. So to refresh our saying, to help us remember the bass clef space notes, one possible saying is, all cows eat grass. So our lowest bass, all cows eat. So A, E. So finger 5 will be, which is your pinky, will be on low A. Finger 2 will stretch up to E, and then your thumb will stretch up to the next higher A. So you have an octave span from this A up to this A with an E in the middle. Then looking at the second musical phrase, we begin, so from this E, we're beginning one octave lower for this E. Your pinky, finger 5, will reach down for this very low E, and then you'll stretch up an entire octave with your thumb, or finger 1, to the next higher E, and then you will pivot over, cross over with finger 2 to G sharp. So those are the first two musical phrases in the left hand, which repeat and take us all the way and to the first ending where we're stopping for now. So now to briefly look at the rhythm, to remember, if you remember that the 8th note receives 1 beat in our time signature, and therefore each 16th note, and the 16th note is indicated by the double bar here, each 16th note receives half of a beat. So the counting will be 1 and 2, rest on and, 3 and, 1 and 2 and 3 and. So we're playing on 1, we're playing on and, we're playing on 2, and then we're resting on the and of 2. Or when the right hand phrase comes in, the left hand rests. And there is a pattern to this rhythmic layout in the left hand as well. So thankfully there's a consistency. So once we have it down for those first 2 phrases, it applies for most of the first page. So for reference, here is middle C. Our first note is a low A. So from middle C, we find the next lowest A, which is down a third or a skip, and then we need to begin 1 octave lower than that, the next lowest A. As I mentioned earlier, our first phrase, it spans an octave from finger 5 on low A to finger 1, an octave higher. And finger 2 is going to be placed in the middle on E. A, E, A. Again, A, E, A. And the rhythm we have is 1 and 2, rest and 3 and. So musical phrase 2 in the left hand. Our 5th finger will move down a 4th, an interval of a 4th. So 1, 2, 3, 4 keys lower to a low E. And it immediately will play an octave. So low E with finger 5, up to the next E with finger 1, then cross over finger 2 on G sharp. Again, E, E, G sharp. Rhythm. 1 and 2 and. Okay? So let's put it together and I will count. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. And to conclude today's lesson, I will demonstrate everything we've talked about so far today and play the first 2 lines hands together.